while, we'll have the Türkiye President, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and also Mr. Azali Assoumani, the President of African Union and State President of Commerce Unions. We are continuing with our opening speeches. Professor Dr. Mr. Ömer Bolat, our Minister of Trade. One of the important names and one of the part. Thank you. Ticaret Bakanımız Distinguished Professor Dr. Ömer Bolat, Minister of Trade, the Commissar of Africa Union Ardosanga, Africa Business Council, distinguished minister, distinguished ambassadors, our trade representatives and representatives of the missions, distinguished guests from African world and distinguished media members. Under the hosting of our Ministry of Trade, in order to open the opportunities and in order to strengthen our economical relations, we as DEİK are organizing the 4th Türkiye Africa Business and Economy Forum. And on behalf of DEİK, I want to pay you my respects. Welcome once again. I would start my talk by mentioning my deepest sadness because of the war between Israel and Palestine, which is ongoing still 7th October. There are no winners in a war. There is nothing but sadness, and I hope that this process will be terminated soon, and I hope that the Palestinian drama, which is continuing for a very long time, it will be finally ended with a very peaceful process. We are at the last session of the 4th TABEF, and together with our President and the President of African Union, we'll have the Commissar, we'll have the President of the Business Forum, we'll have 32 delegates and more than 1,700 of members and businessmen from Africa. And he responded, I'm not tired, but we are moving so fast that our souls are left behind. Sometimes the daily routine is so fast that we are losing our soul, and we have to rest and we have to come up with a better plan in order to balance our soul. I think that this is a process. For the redesign of trade corridors, we need the green transformation. Everything is accelerating. We have trade wars. We have the trade walls which we are talking for us. And within this arena, we are very steady and very determined to strengthen our relations with Africa. We have the aim of firstly 15, after that 75 billions of USD with Africa. We want to overcome the visa issues. We want the mutual mutual recognition of the investments. We want the free trade contracts. We want the development of the banking opportunity, and also we want to cooperate in terms of startups. We have a single and a unique principle, which is win-win. But while we are understanding this win-win principle, the high revenue countries, they want to be always the winner. And they always understand that the powerful, the strongest part is always right. We have 152 councils, and we are continuing our business and our trade relations with this soul. And by telling you this, I want to extend my gratitude to our president, to the president of African Union, to all of you, and to everybody who participated in this organization, and to our distinguished sponsors who helped us in these organizations. And I hope to see you again in the 4th edition of Tibet. Thank you. We listen to Mr. Nail Opak, the president of DEİK. Thank you very much, sir. We started with a great energy, and let's continue like that. We are waiting for our president and for his guest president, distinguished minister, distinguished ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm inviting Mr. Amani Asforu in order to deliver their speech.
Miss Asfor, welcome. Stage is yours.
Your Excellency, Minister of Trade of Turkey, Dr. Omar Bulat, Your Excellency, Ambassador Albert Moshenga, AU Commissioner for Trade, Investment, Economic Development, Tourism and Mining, Your Excellency, President of DEİK, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, it's my honor to be here today representing the African private sector. Africa Business Council is established by the Heads of State Decision Summit to be the voice of the African private sector, including SMEs, women and youth. Our founding vision is a competitive, borderless, innovative Africa for trade, investment, and industrialization. And it is a very crucial moment that we are here today in the city of Istanbul, the beautiful city of Istanbul. We thank very much DEİK for organizing this very important partnership, economic and business forum, for collaborating with our African private sector regarding creating wealth for both our people of Africa and the people of Turkey. It is very important when we say that our African vision is very much dependent on the implementation of Africa 2023 Development Agenda, which is a prosperous, peaceful, integrated Africa driven by the citizens of Africa. And we as private sector, including SMEs, women and youth, are looking forward for this partnership with reference to collaboration with Turkey private sector. Under our umbrella of Africa Business Council, we have more than 20 clusters that speaks for all the areas of collaboration among ourselves. And that would speak for trade, for investment, for industrialization, for energy, all the sessions that have took place yesterday and today. With reference to trade, we know that there is a bilateral business trade volume of Turkey with Africa is about $20 billion. And we know that also Turkey contractors have got contracts with more than $85 billion with reference to infrastructure within the African continent. So how we really develop our partnership based on a win-win situation. We know that Africa We have all the natural resources of the world, starting from our arable land. Africa imports more than $50 billion per year food, while we have 65% of the arable land. How can we really partner together for building the capacity of our agriculture sector and agribusiness with reference to technology that's owned by Turkey? How can we have, with reference to the irrigation system, the technology, the expertise to really create wealth and to change this 65% arable land into investing into our food security on the continent? Again, with reference to energy, Africa harnesses more than 49% of renewable energy of the world, and that would include thermal, hydraulic, solar, wind. I know there is one of the Turkish investors that's already investing a lot into energy. So how we can have more investment with reference to harnessing the potential of energy and renewable energy, and we have now seen how the climate change have affecting us in Africa, whether with droughts, with floods. It is very important to see also how we add value to our agricultural products. We know that, for instance, with reference to agricultural products and agri-processing, there is a huge potential of investment within our agricultural products. Again, manufacturing, which is a huge, important pillar of our strength on the continent by value addition for our raw materials. It is very important to see how the private sector present Cairo to Cape, from Lagos to Mombasa, railways, transport, airports. Again, this is a huge opportunity with reference to our private sector engagement. So there is a lot actually also within tourism and hospitality industry. There is a huge potential within the African continent with reference to the tourism and hospitality industry that Turkey can also invest in our touristic attractions on the continent. And again, to have bilateral within the tourism sector and hospitality industry, healthcare and medical tourism. Healthcare is of a huge importance to the health of our African people. So how can we invest in our health care, and how can we really promote a win-win situation? We know there is a lot of collaboration between Africa and Turkey, but we want this collaboration to be interpreted with reference to the real investment on the continent. And the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, any investment within the African continent will be reflected actually to the reality of how we add value to our products and how you can export within the 55 countries of the continent under the umbrella of ACFTA. So it's a huge investment and a lot of potentials with reference to the private sector of the continent. Again, as Africa private sector, we are proud to see that this partnership will lead to the empowerment of our small and medium enterprises, our women of the continent, our youth. Africa is a young continent. More than 60% of our African population are youth under 25. So our aspiration for our youth is huge to see how we can build the capacity. So our strategy of the Africa Business Council actually is based on 3 pillars. The first pillar is private sector strengthening, including SMEs, women and youth, by building capacity, education, information. So if you want to build partnership, we need to have more information about what is present in Turkey, and also to build capacity to know information of what's present on the continent in Africa. The second pillar is about a policy advocacy, how we advocate to have an enabling environment for investment, incentives for our private sector and our Turkish private sector friends for an enabling environment and conducive environment. Financial inclusion is of huge importance. So we, as Africa Business Council, are able to table your recommendations to the heads of states of the continent to see how we can build our partners together. The third pillar, we are really looking forward to our partnership together to see how we create this wealth among each other. And again, as we have our African proverb, one tree cannot make a forest. And if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if we want to go far, we go together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Ms. Amani Asfora for their speech. Esteemed ministers, esteemed ambassadors, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, now the Turkey-Africa Business World Forum is ending now, and we'll have an award ceremony now. Mr. Azali Osmani, the President of African Union and Union of Comoros, is going to be coming to our award speech with esteemed President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. In these 2 days, we had very important discussions and forums through all that. Now we are continuing for making their speech. European African Commission Economical Development, Trade, Industry and Mining Commissary, Mr. Ambassador Albert Muchanga is coming to the stage now.
Thank you very much, the Director of Ceremony. And in advance, I'll salute His Excellency, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the President of the Republic of Türkiye. And again, in advance, I'll salute His Excellency, Mr. Azali Asmani, the President of the Union of the Comoros and Chairperson of the African Union. Your Excellency Professor Dr. Omar Bolat, the Minister of Trade and Industry of the Republic of Türkiye, the President of DEİK, the Honorable Ministers, the Chief Executive Officer of from His Excellency Dr. Musa Faki Mahamat, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission. Chairperson Mahamat could not be with us today. Exigencies of duty across Africa made it difficult for him to honor the invitation extended to him by His Excellency Professor Dr. Omar Bolat, the Minister of Trade and Industry of the Republic of Türkiye. Chairperson Mahamat wishes this forum distinct success. At this stage, I reiterate the statement I made in the ministerial segment of this forum yesterday, and that is that we greatly appreciate the warm welcome and gracious hospitality accorded to us since our arrival in this very beautiful and historic city of Istanbul. We have been well looked after, very well looked after. And for this, we shall leave Istanbul with treasured memories of friendship and with gratitude. Thank you very much, the people and government of Türkiye. The presence of Your Excellencies, the President of Türkiye, and the President of the Union of the Comoros, also Chairperson of the African Union Commission, or African Union has raised the profile of this forum. It also reflects the strong commitment that you have to the growing partnership between Africa and Turkey in the commercial and economic spheres. We thank you very much for your presence, Your Excellencies. So, take this opportunity to extend our congratulations to the people and government of the Republic of Turkey for the centennial of the Turkish Republic, which is going to be commemorated on the 29th of October this year. We wish you all the best in the endless journey of nation building. After 4 editions of the Turkey Africa Business and Economic Forum, we can reaffirm that we have a direction. We are moving forward. And I'll give a few indicators. This forum is generating a partnership with a strong grip on the ground, which makes it ready to propel itself forward. Thank you.
Değerli konuklar, hanımefendi.
Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Turkish Republic, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and Union of Africa, President of Union of Africa and President of Union of Comoros, Mr. Azali Assoumani, has entered the room. Welcome.
Seremoni başkanımıza teşekkür.
You arrived. I indicated that your presence in our meeting this afternoon gives it great visibility and is a strong, very strong indicator of your commitment to move forward the growing partnership between Turkey and Africa. And for this, I think I speak for everybody when I say we thank you very much for your presence. And I was giving the indicators of the program that we are making in our partnership. And I began by saying, this forum is generating a partnership with a strong grip. We're also a partnership with visible and significant activities. There's measurable progress in the implementation of those activities. The President of DEİK came out with some of the statistics, and I'll leave it to the Minister of Trade and Industry of Türkiye to bring out the other statistics. We are confident that we are gaining the required speed as well as visibility. All these are coming when the African Union is beginning to participate in the G20 as a permanent member. Thank Türkiye for the strong support for us to be in the G20. And Africa is ready to make contributions in the G20 in meeting global challenges such as macroeconomic imbalances, poverty, and climate change, among others. As we embark on making the required contributions of global economic governance, we welcome investments in the large and growing market of the African continental free trade area. The opportunities in that market are very vast, and the returns are equally high. I'll conclude my statement by reaffirming our vision to generate mutually beneficial outcomes in this partnership. The Comoros, and who is also chairperson of the African Union, we thank you for your generosity. I end here and thank you very much for your kind attention.
Distinguished guests, welcome. We are honored to have you here. And now I want to invite Mr. Ömer Bolat in order to deliver his speech, our Minister of Trade. Distinguished President of Commerce Associations and also distinguished representatives from Africa continent, greetings and pay my during this conjuncture, during this forum where we need more collaborations, I want to highlight the importance of this forum, and I think that it is very important to open new areas and to determine new areas for cooperations. This forum, therefore, provides a very great opportunity. Today, we have our President, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, and also we have established new Economy and Business Forum is organized since 2016. And I hope that during the future years, we'll also be able to organize this forum. Since 2003, and when we started to set up the strategical relations with Africa, we always followed our policy of win-win. And looking at 1,000 years history of our country, we never were based on colonization policies, and we are always with the poor and unjust people. And this was our most important roadmap in our relations and in our approach toward other continents. We never ever tried to attack, to get the resources of other continents. Today, we are continuing with the same approach, and we consider ourselves equal with our African brothers and sisters. And during the last 21st years, our president conducted continuous visits and contacts with Africa. We had numerous visits to Africa, and we were hosts to a lot of African distinguished visits, and we are always trying to strengthen our relations with Africa. And undoubtedly, thanks to our Ministry of Trade, we are always trying to strengthen our relationship. And since 2016, we are organizing the Turkey-Africa Business and Economic Forum, and we will be continuing to do that. Today, we are closing the fourth forum. This is the second day of the forum. And this forum should be considered as a national celebration. distinguished guests and participants, as our distinguished president mentioned in 2003, when they determined our Africa policy, we have strengthened our relations and our total trade number increased 7.5 times and it reached to 41 billions of USD. And during the last 3 years, we reached to 27 billions of USD. And I'm not talking only about our trade relationship. Our relations in every area are continuing to increase, and we reach more than 10 billions of dollars. We have a lot of investments, and due to our investments, we are providing employment opportunities for thousands of African people. Our contractors who undersigned very strong and very successful contracts, they reached to investments more than 84 billions of dollars. Our corporate existence in Africa is extending. We have 12 from 12 official representatives in Africa. Nowadays we have 32. We have business councils with 48 African companies. We have flights to 62 points. Decisions have been made. Distinguished presidents and distinguished participants, our country is aiming to support Africa in determining their strong future, and as always, we are continuing to be with our African colleagues, and I want hereby to announce that we are very proud and very happy to have the official attendance of Africa to G20 summit. And as Türkiye, we are supporting the Africa Union agenda, and we are ready to contribute to them. And Turkey will be continuing to contribute to the Africa's development. Distinguished presidents, distinguished participants, during the last 2 days, we are discussing about tourism, infrastructure, textile, female entrepreneurship, manufacturing, and we are discussing how we can further strengthen our mutual relations. Besides those meetings, we contributed to the promotion of the African opportunities, and mutual contracts were laid, and very efficient business meetings were conducted. Greetings to our president who contributed to this plan, and also to our Ministry of Trade and to the Union of Africa. Also, I want to extend my greetings to DEİK for enabling these organizations, and to all of my colleagues for their efforts, and to all the valuable members of the protocols and to businessmen who participated in these organizations. And also I want to extend my greetings to Mr. Asali Asimuddin, and also to representatives from 24 countries and to 3,900 participants. And I hope that this forum will be very efficient and fruitful for each party. Thank you very much.
Evet, biz de Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Ticaret Bakanı Profesör.
We thank Mr. Ömer Bolat for their speech, Minister of Trade of Republic of Turkey. Distinguished participants, now I would like to invite the head of state of Comoros Union, as well as the chairman of African Union, Mr. Asali Assoumani, to the stage to deliver their speech.
Monsieur le Président Erdogan et très chers frères, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, honorable assistance, Mesdames et Messieurs,
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellencies, Mr. President, distinguished ministers, I would like to greet you all with respect. First of all, on behalf of African Union, I would like to thank Mr. President, Mr. Erdogan. I would like to thank him for his warm welcome that he provided to us, and I would like to once again emphasize how thankful I am for his efforts. It was an incredible show of hospitality from him from the moment we arrived to this beautiful city of Istanbul. Everything was amazing. I would like to thank him once again. His Excellencies, because in this event we talk about the challenges as well as the opportunities in terms of the relationships between Turkey and African continent. Organized in this beautiful city, this forum, and the previous edition of it was held in 2021 December. And now here again, we are once again talking about how we can develop bilateral relations and wealth. While taking part of these kinds of events, we take the opportunity working on the plan to develop relations between African countries and Turkey, which is now a strategical partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, after the start of this partnership, Turkey has never shied away from working on common opportunities, and they took some really important steps when it comes to Africa. Back in 2005, Turkey declared the year to be the year of Africa, but at the same time, Mr. Erdogan himself made more than 40 visits to the continent and showed how much he cares about the continent. That's why I would like to thank him once again. I have to say, we are so thankful to him, and I think I can speak on behalf of all Africa. And I also would like to, again, really thank him for showing great friendship to the people of Africa. As mentioned before, Turkey has 44 different foreign missions in Africa, and this number increases every day. And since 1992, in the year 1992, this number was 2. Now it is more than 40, which shows the incredible advancement that they made in terms of foreign representation. And I think I can say the same thing for TICA, because TICA has done a lot in African countries. And it is all about the projects that they did. They do a lot of projects in the African continent. And now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Turkey has done some emergency aid to the African continent. When we were in need, Turkey showed support, immediate support, especially in terms of access to medical tools and equipment. Turkey has done a lot. In that sense, we would like to, after 2018, we declared Turkey as a strategic partner after the 10th African Summit. 26th period of 5 years, we talk about subjects such as security. And now we see the trade and investment between Turkey and the momentum, and we want to see it more. And of course, right now, in 2021, the Turkey's exports to Africa was about 1.2 billion. And looking at the future, until 2024, we expect about 75 billion in terms of volume. So because of that, Mr. President, Mr. Erdogan, has been very willing and has been very supportive. And Turkey has invested a lot in this partnership, and we support it wholeheartedly. And this event will bring a new wind to our relations, and it will be an important step towards Africa's 2063 agenda, especially when it comes to infrastructure projects. Now, looking at some forecasts and looking at the current situation, we see that, especially in terms of energy, our infrastructure is very limited. About 64 million don't have access to power, which shows the severity of the situation. So access to energy, access to power has been a big issue in the continent. Financially, access to power has some issues, and of course, lack of infrastructure costs a lot. According to a recent report, the telecommunication industry in Africa requires an investment of $15 billion so that we can switch to 5G networks. And also, there are other results of the lack of infrastructure. This also was a roadblock in front of economic development, and of course also humanitarian development as well. So now, today, private sector has to work on this together with the public sector. And we believe and trust in the dynamism of Turkey and what they can bring to use this relationship as a leverage. And if we do that and work under the principles of win-win, we'll achieve great results and find real solutions to our common problems. And by acting together, we can achieve fruitful results under the framework of this partnership. Turkey has been playing a leading role both in the world and also in Africa, economically and otherwise, to increase our bilateral relations and investments so that we can serve to the people of both Turkey and the African continent. We thank Mr. Azali Assoumani, President of African Union and the Head of State of the Comoros. Distinguished ladies, distinguished gentlemen, I would like to invite President of Turkey, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, to the stage to deliver their speech.
Komorlar Birliği Cumhurbaşkanı ve Afrika Birliği Dönem Başkanı Sayın
Mr. Azali Assoumani, President of African Union and Head of State of Comoros. Distinguished participants, we have gathered here today, and I have to say we are very happy to host you under the framework of Turkey-Africa Business and Economic Forum in the historical city of Istanbul I would like to welcome you all to the beautiful city of Istanbul. As the President of the Republic of Türkiye, I have personally you have traveled far to be a part of this. So I would like to thank you all for that.
And I would like to wish that this meeting will be most auspicious for all of our countries. Distinguished friends, as the Turkish nation, we are dating back to the 10th century in terms of our relationship with the African countries. And we have libraries, centuries-old mosques, inns, harbors built in different cities of the continent are just some of the signs of the ancient friendship between us. Traces of our common history can be found in every corner of the continent, from Sudan to Libya, from Harar to Timbuktu. Our country, exhausted from long years of wars, dealt mostly with domestic issues and tried to heal its wounds in the first years of our republic. We were defending our independence, we were defending our freedom, and we found the African people right next to us, and we know that we have historically inspired them. Despite our deep history, our relations suffered from a stagnation, unfortunately. But of course, this was due to the conditions that our country was in and the African nation was in. As I've said, we were involved with domestic issues and we were trying to heal our wounds during the first years of the Republic. And somehow, we tried to maintain our contacts with the African nations. Sisters, in 2002, when we assumed the responsibility of governing the country, we prioritized the regions where our relations were not sufficiently developed yet. And one of this was Africa. The level of our relations with most of the countries of the continent did not suit us. First, in 2000, like many others, we pushed away arrogant perspectives towards the continent. We were very careful to establish relations with our African brothers and sisters in an eye-to-eye level, developing empathy and understanding each other more. As a nation with no strain of colonialism in its history, we embraced African peoples without any discrimination whatsoever. Our cooperation, which gained momentum with the Africa Initiative, gained a holistic structure as a strategic partner of the African Union in the foreign policy of our country, as well as in the hearts of the Turkish nation. The place of Africa in my eyes and my heart is very special. It's unique. I made more than 50 visits to the continent during my term as a prime minister and then as the president. And during each of my visits, I had the opportunity to closely observe the rich culture of Africa, the sincerity of its people, the fortitude of our African brothers and sisters, even in the face of poverty and destitution, and the joy of life of African children with flowers blooming on their smiling faces. We have never been separated from Africa, and I can understand once again how true the words of my African interlocutors were. Once you go to Africa, friendly heads of states and governments from all over the continent in our country. And we have increased the number of our embassies all over Africa up to 44. And we were proud to host the ambassadors of 38 African countries in our capital city of Ankara. The number of our trade councilorships will soon reach 31. and we established business councils with a total of 48 African countries. The number of the countries with which we have trade and economic cooperation agreements has already reached 48. The number of countries with mutual encouragement and protection of investments agreements increased up to 32. And from investment to culture, from education to society, we are investing in our relations that are developing as we speak on a day-to-day basis. We hope and pray that Africa will avail great opportunities for us for free trade, for both of the countries to benefit. And dear friends, I would like to share some figures with you to show our common success that we have achieved. Our trade volume with the continent was $5.4 billion in the year 2003, and it reached $41 billion by the end of last year. The total value of our direct investments in Africa exceeded $10 billion. From energy to infrastructure, from nutrition to supply chains, our companies are heavily invested in making sure that the discrepancies will be compensated once and for all. Our companies also undertake very important tasks in eliminating Africa's infrastructure and superstructure has exceeded $85.5 billion. We are looking at the stadiums, the factories, the airports that were constructed by the Turkish companies, and our interlocutors are always speaking about the pleasance that they have been feeling that the Turkish companies have undertaken such enormous projects in Africa. 41 countries and 62 destinations are being covered by the Turkish Airlines, and we are bringing you to the other geographies all around the world. In addition, agriculture, transportation, manufacturing, and energy sectors attract the interest of our investors as key areas for the development of the continent. The defense industry is among the sectors where Turkey has made the biggest breakthrough in recent years. We are one of the top three countries in the world in unmanned aerial vehicles. We are taking the momentum that we had accomplished with Akıncı to the next level with Kızıl Elma. In warship technology, we are among the top 10 countries that can design, develop, build, and maintain their own air flight carriers. With the motto that peace and security are the basic conditions for development, we are ready to share our experience in this field with our African brothers and sisters. We consider the success of the African geography as our own, and we have fully supported the African Union's G20 membership from the very beginning. And in this framework, we welcomed the membership of the African Union at the G20 summit, which was recently organized in New Delhi, in India. Asumani, my dear brother, the president of the Comores, and I would like to congratulate you for this presidency that took place quite recently with our presence. I would like it to be known that we will make every necessary contribution for the African continent to take its rightful place in the global system. Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we are witnessing sad developments on a global and regional scale. I attach importance to the initiative taken by some African leaders to peacefully end the war between Ukraine and Russia. We have been working for peace since the first day of the conflict. We are still working for peace. With the Black Sea Initiative, we prevented the food crisis from deepening further. During the implementation period of the initiative, we ensured the safe transportation of 33 million tons of grains through our straits. However, despite all of our sincere efforts, we know that our African brothers and sisters haven't been able to benefit from the grain as much as we wished. And we have conveyed our discomfort on this issue to our interlocutors on various occasions. Unfortunately, old colonial habits came into play here too. The suffering of our African brothers and sisters has not been sufficiently recognized by rich Western countries. We attach particular significance to fairer and more efficient distribution of grain to our brothers and sisters in Africa. With the non-extension of the Black Sea Initiative, we know that some of the African countries are significantly concerned. In our contacts with Russian President Mr. Putin, we have been assessing what we could do in order to address and eliminate these concerns if possible. We are in negotiations to deliver 1 million tons of grain to the continent in the first phase, and I hope and pray that we will be able to get positive results out of these efforts. While we are experiencing the negative ramifications of the Russia-Ukraine war, the events between Israel and Palestine have shaken us all ever so deeply. We are worried about the possibility of further escalation of tensions in the region. We make it clear that we do not and we will never accept attacks on mosques, hospitals, and civilian settlements. We have been very clear in that regard. We will never accept such attacks. Well, it's well known that the blockade, which worsens the humanitarian situation in Gaza, makes the region vulnerable to provocation. And through you, here, I would like to call out to the rest of the world. We are talking about cutting of electricity, water, fuel, and food to 2 million people crammed into 360 square kilometers is a violation of the most basic human rights. The wholesome punishment of the people of Gaza will only exacerbate the problem, causing more suffering, more tension, more tears to be shed. And the Israeli government must allow the passage of humanitarian aid through the Rafah crossing. We have started work to send a humanitarian aid plane to Al Arish Airport with medicine, durable food, canned food, diapers, and medical supplies. This morning, it had been dispatched. Since the beginning of by 12 o'clock in the afternoon, landed in the region. And our Rafah presidency is about to finalize its preparations to provide further aid to the region. In close cooperation with our brotherly nation, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. We were encouraged, but then we saw that the United States was sending off an aircraft carrier, just like the UK. In the Human Rights Declaration, could you find these? In Gaza, right now, everywhere is being demolished. Women, children, mothers are being destroyed. And nobody seems to be concerned about that. But we are concerned about that. We are concerned about that. If we ever so remotely respect the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, unfortunately, I'm sorry, everybody has to sit and think as to what kind of an aid that they could provide to Gaza. But nobody seems to be concerned. Nobody seems to be concerned. In close cooperation with the brotherly Egyptian authorities, we will deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza. Cutting off humanitarian aid to the Palestinians while millions of people are facing the danger of starvation is a new stain of shame on the faces of those who have made this decision. We appeal to all of the parties to act with common sense and negotiate first a ceasefire and then a lasting peace. Both myself, my Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is actually traveling to Egypt as we speak, and the Director of the National Intelligence Organization have been intensifying our contacts to find a way out of the crisis, especially in terms of the releasing of the prisoners of war and the hostages. However, instead of restoring calm, some provocative actors are feeding this fire, and they are hindering our efforts, and they are deepening the crisis. Distinguished brothers and sisters, I would like to touch upon one thing especially, which is Gaza, as we speak, is a victim and is being victimized, is feeble. Equality, dialogue, diplomacy, and the reduction of tension between the parties. Even more important than that, the Foreign Minister of the United States is talking to my Foreign Minister. And he is approaching to the conflict between Israel and Palestine not as a Foreign Minister, but as a Jew. What kind of a politician are you? What kind of an approach is this? When you say this, how can we, and what would happen if we were to say, okay, I'm looking at the region as a Muslim. I'm approaching the region as a Muslim. So what do you have to say in return? Look, Jews, Turks, so on and so forth. We're not labeling anyone. We are just approaching the people for what they are. They are people. That's what you should do. Haven't you seen the children and the dire situation that they were in? Haven't you seen the martyred children? Can't you see how their mothers and fathers were suffering? And think about this. He says, I'm not talking to you as a foreign minister, not a foreign secretary. I'm talking to you as a Jewish person. We have never approached any situation like this. We are defending and we are protecting all of the Israeli embassies in our country right now, because during these times, anything is possible. Anything can happen. And we have always been very careful about the embassies in our country. And we always protected the Israeli embassies in our country, thinking that they needed to be secure in our establishment. And the statement of the United States yesterday was quite extraordinary, because they are threatening the national security of our country. We are together with the United States in the NATO, aren't we? And so our unmanned vehicle was shot down by the United States. So how are we together in the... We have a security problem between us. And the statement is not only incompatible with the spirit of alliance and strategic partnership, but it also encourages terrorist organizations trying to divide Syria. The activities carried out by the US in this country with the PKK's extension in Syria constitute an extraordinary threat to Turkey's national security, and we are determined to eliminate the source of this threat. The only NATO ally that fought Daesh hand-to-hand and defeated the terrorist organization at the cost of martyrs, we can only smile bitterly at this theater, at this drama being played against us. We will leave those playing this theater alone in their own scenarios, and we are going to continue to take the steps forward which are required to ensure our national security. Recent developments have once again shown that there will be no peace in the region without the establishment of an independent, sovereign, geographically integrated, independent and sovereign Palestinian state within the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. I have no doubt that our African friends, who have been subjected to centuries of oppression, exploitation, and occupation in their own lands, will also do what is necessary for the realization of a Palestinian state within the framework of the 1967 borders. While there are positive developments in Africa, there are also sad incidents. We hope and pray that the fraternal bloodshed in Sudan will stop as soon as possible and the crisis will be resolved peacefully once and for all. We will continue our humanitarian assistance to alleviate the suffering of the Sudanese people. It is a fact that the Sahel region faces serious political, economic, social, and security challenges. And Niger has been experiencing troubled times quite recently, and we hope and pray that Niger will regain constitutional order and a democratic governance as soon as possible. We hope that the efforts for a peaceful settlement of the conflict will be successful. Any military intervention in Niger risks plunging this country and the entire region into even deeper instability. We think that it's important to maintain peace and stability in Gabon. We are waging our blessed struggle with the motto, "The world is greater than five," but it's not only for ourselves, but also for our African brothers and sisters. What we have experienced in the last few years has once again demonstrated the fallacy of leaving the fate of the entire humanity at the mercy of the 5 member states of the Security Council of the United Nations, represented in the Security Council of the United Nations as it deserves. And as a country that has been fighting against separatist terrorism for nearly 40 years, we are well aware of the security challenges faced by our African brothers and sisters. Organizations such as Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, and Daesh are not just the problems of a few countries, but they are the common enemies for us. Handed over the so-called educational institutions affiliated with the organization to our Marif Foundation or close them down indefinitely. Distinguished Day, we will leave our mark on the future of Turkey-Africa relations. I hope and pray that we will be able to get back together. I would like to salute you all on behalf of myself and on behalf of my country and on behalf of my nation. I would like to thank the African Union and DEİK for their cooperation and contributions to the forum. May you remain in health.
We thank His Excellencies, Mr. President, for their speech. We would like to keep you on the stage for just a little longer for the award ceremony. And I also would like to invite the President of DEİK as well. Meanwhile, my friends are preparing the stage for the award ceremony. So we are organizing a really important event with the attendance of Mr. President Erdogan, as well as Mr. Assoumani, the President of African Union. They were our guest of honors. Now we are preparing the stage for the award ceremony at the same time. Distinguished guests, please take your seats as the event has not finished yet. We still have an award ceremony, so please take your seats to witness the award ceremony. The award ceremony is about to start. Please be seated. Mr. President will once again come up to the stage during the award ceremony. Thank you for your understanding. Let's crown this event in the best way possible with the award ceremony. The President is also, Mr. President, Mr. Erdogan is also going to come up to the stage in a few minutes, as well as Mr. Assoumani. He's also here. Both heads of states are still in the room. So we will crown the event as it suits the both heads of states. And after that, we'll also have a ceremony in which we'll sign the documents.
Evet, şimdi Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Hükümeti ile Komorlar Birliği Hükümeti arasında ticaret ve ekonomik iş.
So we have an agreement which will ceremonially sign here. This agreement regards to the economical and political collaboration of the African states and Türkiye. Once again, I would like to remind you, we are now going to sign the document between the Republic of Turkey and the Comoros Union regarding the collaboration between countries. Now I would like to invite from the Comoros Union Mr. Minister Kamalidini Soef to the stage, as well as Mr. Ömer Bolat, Minister of Trade of Republic of Turkey. Both ministers are invited to the stage to sign the agreement. So, 4th edition of Turkey-Africa Business and Economic Forum is going on strongly with the signature ceremony of the agreement. This agreement is going to be signed by Mr. Ömer Bolat, Minister of Trade of Republic of Türkiye, and Mr. Kamalidini Soev, the Minister of Digital Infrastructure from Comoros Union. So with a strong round of applause, I wish and I would like to see the great energy in the room being reflected with your applause. So we thank both ministers and we invite them to their places to take their seats. And after this, we move on to the award ceremony. I have to inform you a little. Mr. Cemil Kazancı to the stage. Welcome. Next up, one of the leading companies in the relations with Turkey and Africa, going strong with their operations in the continent. To represent Al Bayrak Holding, to receive the award, I would like to invite the chairman of the board, Mr. Al Bayrak, to the stage. Welcome. Next up, operating in the industry of furniture, this company provides affordable, accessible products. To represent Doğanlar Holding and receive the award, I would like to invite the Deputy Director of the holding, Mr. Adnan Doğan, to the stage. Welcome. Next up, this construction journey started in North Africa, and Roll Holding has contributed a lot to the infrastructure of the continent. And to represent the holding, I would like to invite the Deputy Chairman of the Board, Mr. Oğuz Çarmıklı, to the stage to receive the award on behalf of Nurol Holding. Now, representing the Turkish aviation and contributing to the continent of Africa in this sense, I would like to invite from TUSAŞ Professor Dr. Temel Kotil to the stage to receive the award. These six figures, six distinguished people representing our business world in Africa. So please, huge round of applause to these people for their contribution. And Mr. President has also arrived once again to the room. The President of DEİK, as well as our Trade Minister, as well as the Head of State, Mr. Asomani, the Head of State of Comoros Union, is going to be invited soon to the. So I'm going to announce the distinguished people once again. From Miller Holding, Mr. Mildon, Turhan Mildon received the award. Next up, representing Aksa Energy Board, Mr. Cemil Kazancı is receiving the award from Mr. Erdoğan. And next up, from Al Bayrak Holding, Chairman of the Board, Mr. Ahmet Al Bayrak, he is receiving his award. from Mr. President. Next up, representing Doğanlar Holding, Mr. Adnan Doğan, receiving his award from Mr. President. From the Royal Holding, Deputy Chairman of Board, Mr. Sharmatli is receiving his award. And last but not least, representing TUSAŞ, General Director of TUSAŞ, Mr. Temel Kotil is receiving his award from Mr. President. We have a group photo all together with all the recipients of the awards. So with a strong round of applause, we invite all the award recipients to take their seats. The President of DEİK and Mr. Minister of Trade are still on the stage. So, Mr. President, if you would like, we are going to present an award to Mr. Asumani. If we would like you to deliver him the award, if you will. And this from the President of DEİK, this gift is presented to Mr. President, and this is a special piece of art created from the wings of a butterfly coming from Africa. So we are coming to the end of the event with the group photo. I would like to invite all ministers and also all the heads of states, ministers, and distinguished guests for a group photo. Ministers and guest ministers are invited for the group photo. So with the participation of Mr. Asumani and Mr. Erdogan, we are coming to the end of the Economic Forum, and after the award ceremony, we are now taking the group photo, and we are almost at the end. So organized with the cooperation of Ministry of Trade, DEİK, and with the participation of Comoros heads of state as well as Mr. President of Honors, we are coming to the end of the 4th edition of Turkey Africa Business and Economic Forum. Mr. President is leaving. We